Alright guys, this is the last part of 11.3. We're going to do surface area of pyramids today, and we're actually going to be pausing after this. On Tuesday you're going to have an in-class assignment, on Wednesday we review, and on Thursday we are going to do a quiz on what we've learned so far in chapter 11. It's going to be very similar to the quizzes you've done before, where you have to type in your answers. I'm still debating on whether or not I'm going to collect your work, so just as a heads up, that might be something that we'll be talking about on Wednesday. But this is our last shape. So this is a pyramid. So to be a pyramid, it has to have a polygon base. So it can be any shape. The base could be a triangle, a rectangle, a square, a pentagon, hexagon, things like that. And then all the rest of the faces are going to be triangles that come and meet at one point. So now let's look at the next part, slant height. We talked about that with cones. It's kind of the same idea with a pyramid. There are two different lines in the picture. The one that's straight up and down in the picture, this guy here, that's going to be the regular height. That tells you actually how tall the pyramid is. That's not what we're going to use in our formula today. The formula today, we need to use this one. That one is called the slant height. Where that one will always be is it should always go through the middle of the triangle. It's actually the height of one of the triangles. So it's the height of the triangle. So it can't go along. You got to be careful here. There's another term I'll just throw at you. If we looked at this right here, that's what's called a lateral edge. That is not considered the height. So you do have to be careful with these because there's other lines on the outside of the pyramid. There weren't any extra lines when we looked at the cone. But whenever you're looking for the slant height, it has to be the one that's going through the middle of the triangle. So I'll write that down. It goes through the middle of the triangle. Okay, and it should make a little right angle here. Alright, so then we look at our formula today, and these are all letters that we've talked about before. Big P is going to be the perimeter of the base. L is going to be our slant height. And then big B, which we talked about with prisms, big B, hopefully you're remembering here, should be area of the base. Okay, and then one other quick note about this formula. This formula only works when it's a regular figure. So it has to be a regular pyramid to be able to use the shortcut formula that we have here. If it's not a regular pyramid, you actually have to find all the surfaces separately. But since it's a regular pyramid, meaning all the sides of the base are congruent, then we can use that shortcut formula. So the first thing we're going to work on is finding slant height, because there's a little twist to today. So if we look at number 1, the first thing we actually have to do is we have to draw in the slant height. Now you could draw it in on any of the faces you want to, but if you kind of use as a guide the fact that this is already drawn in, almost completing a triangle, drawing in the slant height to connect those two lines that are already there, that goes through the middle of the triangle. So I know it's a slant height, but then it creates a triangle that we can finish. What you have to be careful about though is what we call this bottom side of the triangle. All the way across the square that's on the bottom is 20, but when we look at our actual triangle here, we have to be careful and make sure that we are filling in that the bottom of that is actually only halfway across. So that's going to be 10. So this is going to be 10, 24, and this is L that we're trying to find here. So just be careful. That is halfway across. So you have to make sure that you take half of it to find the number that goes in the triangle. So that's that little twist today. So then we're just going to do Pythagorean theorem like we did with cones. 10 squared plus 24 squared is equal to L squared. That's going to be 100 plus 576 equals L squared. 676 equals L squared. Then we take the square root on our calculator, and you should get L is 26. So that's our first slant height there. Alright, looking at number 2, first thing I see is they actually were nice to us. They drew in the slant height already. Be careful, the slant height's the one through the middle of the triangle. So the slant height right now, the slant height is this guy here. That's what L is. And then we need to look for a triangle that that's part of. Well, if I look where that 17 already is drawn in, I can draw this triangle along that lateral face. And I'm going to fill in now where everything is, because this one is different than the last one. L is here, and 17 is along the edge. It's actually the hypotenuse of the triangle that time, because our triangle isn't inside the triangle like in number 1, it's outside of the triangle. So you have to kind of think perspectively where everything is. And then we need to fill in the bottom. The bottom, again, we know that the whole side of this is 16, and with all those tick marks there, that means I can move the 16 over there as well. But the bottom of that blue triangle is only going to be halfway across the triangle, so the bottom is going to have to be 8. So then we're going to do L squared plus 8 squared equal to 17 goes there because it's the hypotenuse, equal to 17 squared. Then we got L squared plus 64 equals 289. You subtract, you're going to get 225, and we take the square root, and we would know that L is 15. Okay? Alright, so then the next problem, they actually do want us to find the surface area. So I'm going to start by writing down the formula. Surface area is 1/2 PL plus B. And I'm going to do these similar to what we've done before, is I'm going to write out all the letters we need. We need P, we need L, and we need big B. So P means we're finding the perimeter of the base. If it helps you, like we did before with the base, locate it and draw it out. So the base right now is this bottom shape, which has 6 on both sides, which means this is actually going to be a square. So we have this bottom square with a side of 6. So to find the perimeter, I'm going to do 6 times 4, because all 4 sides are 6, or you can do 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6. Either way, you're going to get 24. And then we need to know L. So what you need to look for is look at the height that they did give you. Is it actually the slant height? That number where the 9's pointing, does that go through the middle of the triangle? It does go through that middle of that triangle side. So 9 is actually already the slant height. We don't have to figure out what it is. And then to find big B, we have to find the area of the base. So we're back looking at this blue shape. To find the area of a square, the formula is side squared. So we're just going to do 6 squared, which is 36. And then to get our final answer, we're just going to plug into the formula. So it's going to be 1/2 P times L plus B. Just please be careful with your algebra with these. We have to do all of this multiplication before we can do the addition of plus 36. So you need to do 24 times 9 divided by 2. You should get 108. And then you have to add 36 onto that, which means our surface area right now is 144 centimeters squared. Okay? Let's look at some more. So looking at number 2, I'm going to start with my formula up here at the top. 1/2 PL plus B. Notice this one just has B. It doesn't have 2B because there's only one base. So that's how you can start to see the difference between a pyramid and a prism. A prism has 2 bases, but a pyramid only has 1 base. So then I know I need to know P, I need to know L, and I need to know B. And I want to locate that base right now. The base is this shape, which is another square. Just going to draw it out so that my eyes stay on the shape that we're supposed to be finding the perimeter of. So to find the perimeter of that shape, that's 20 times 4, which is 80. And then I need to find L. Now if I look at this one this time, the 24 that they gave me is the straight up and down height. I don't want that. I need to figure out L here, which is the middle of that triangle. So I'm using this triangle right now to help me figure out L. So I'm just going to draw that down here. I have 24, L, and then be careful about what you put on the bottom of that triangle today. The 20 is if we were going all the way across. We're not going all the way across, we're only going halfway across, which is 10. So then we're going to do 10 squared plus 24 squared equals L squared. I think we did this already. 100 plus 576 equals L squared. 676 equals L squared, and then we took the square root. I'm pretty sure we got 26 on the last page when we did that. So that is L, 26. Be careful, there might be 1 or 2 on the homework where you get a decimal. That's perfectly fine. Just round to the nearest tenth. This just happened to come out to be a whole number. And then big B is finding the area of the base. We're looking back at the blue shape to find the area. So that's going to be side squared, which is 20 squared, which is 400. And now I can find my surface area. I'm going to do 1/2 P times L plus big B. And again, I want you to do the multiplication part first. Figure out this number first, then you can add the 400. Do not add the 400 before taking the 1/2. You have to take the 1/2 first. It only applies to that first group. So this should come out to be 1040 plus 400, which gives us 1440 centimeters squared. Alright, we're just going to try one more. This one's slightly different because right away what you should notice is it has a different shape on the base. The base is actually this triangle. So let me write out, I know we're going to need P, L, and B. P, I'm looking at that shape. That shape's a triangle this time. I do automatically know it's equilateral because I told you these have to be regular figures. So this is going to have 3 sides of 24. So to find the perimeter, it's 24 times 3 since it's a triangle. So the perimeter is 72. L is drawn in the picture. It's this line, but that is not where the 37 is. The 37 is on this lateral edge here. So that is not actually the slant height. It does look slanted, so please be careful that the slant height is always the one going through the middle of the triangle. It will not be the one on the outside of the triangle. So if I complete this triangle, we can find L right now by looking at this triangle here, the hypotenuse. Actually, let me draw it the other way. Let me draw it the way it's facing. It's facing this way. The hypotenuse is 37. L is the straight up and down line in that picture that we're trying to find in that flat side. And then the bottom would actually be 12. Not 24 because it doesn't go all the way across, it's only half of that triangle side. So now we're going to do L squared plus 12 squared equals 37 squared. So that's L squared plus 144 equals 1369. And then we're going to subtract the 144. You get 1225, and then you have to take the square root of that. And you should get 35 is the slant height. Again, a nice whole number. There may be 1 or 2 on the homework where it turns out to be a decimal, but it's fine. Just round to the nearest tenth. And now big B. Big B, we're looking back at the base. That means we have to find the area of that base, which means we have to use the special formula because it's an equilateral triangle. Side squared, radical 3 over 4. So that's going to be 24 squared, radical 3 over 4, which is 576 radical 3 over 4. And then if we divide, we get 144 radical 3. And then our last step is to plug that all into the formula. So the formula is going to say 1/2 P times L plus B. And we're going to evaluate this whole section first. We're going to do 72 times 35. And then take half of that. You should get 1260 plus 144 radical 3. Remember when we did prisms that we did not combine these, so you're just going to leave this as your answer. I'm going to throw the units on the end, centimeters squared, but you're not actually going to add that. You're not allowed to add that because one of them has a radical and one doesn't. So you're just going to stop at that point, and that's as far as you can simplify that. Okay? There are 2 problems for you to try on Classkick. Please try those 2 problems, and then you have just a couple of problems for homework tonight. Alright, take care guys, and we will be doing an in-class assignment tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day.